Hello everyone and welcome to this series of Real Mom interviews by newmomlife.com. In this interview, we'll be interacting with Deepika, who is an MSc in Finance and Economics, and most importantly, Deepika runs Prep Ride that conducts brain development sessions for kids aged 3 to 7 years. So this interview is going to be a really important one for your kid. Now, Deepika is a learned person, and in this interview, she shares with us her knowledge, her experiences on boosting brain power of your kid. So let's get to know about Deepika's suggestions on using flashcards, the importance of music for kids, how your child can improve EQ power, how you can improve your child's brain power, and the best foods for your child's brain. So let's get to know about the suggestions from Deepika. So, hello Deepika and welcome to this series of Real Mom interviews by newmomlife.com. How are you doing?
Hi Gitika, thank you so much for having me here. I'm doing very well. How are you doing?
I am absolutely fine and you look absolutely gorgeous, I must say. You look so beautiful.
Thank you, and so do you.
Oh my god, thank you so much. So it's a great start.
Yes.
Okay. So Deepika, I would definitely like to mention before proceeding with the interview that I will be recording this particular session and uploading it on our YouTube channel and the website that we manage. So are you ready for that? Are you fine with it?
Yeah, definitely.
That's great.
Yes.
Great. Thank you so much. Okay. So shall we start with the interview now?
Yes, please. Yes.
All right.
Let's
Go. Great. So the first question for you is, what is the best part of your day with your kid and why do you really like it?
All right. So the best part of the day is when I put her to bed.
My God.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because not because I want her to sleep, but because that's when we get to spend good quality time with each other. That's when we read, we discuss the day, and it's very important when I want to listen how her day went from her perspective.
Yes.
For example, she did particular activities and I know it, but I want to know how she felt about it, what she learned from it, what did she not like about it. So that is my best part, and of course it builds on her memory. She looks back at the whole day and she remembers, so this is how it went, and then she describes it, so of course it increases on the language, and then we plan the next day what we're going to do, and tomorrow is going to be exciting, and these things, we have a little chit chats, we read. Now that she's also started reading a little bit, so rather than me reading to her, I'm supervising and she's reading. So yeah, that's a good part, that's like a one-on-one discussion with
Yes, absolutely. So it makes you each other close to you. It makes you both close to each other, right?
Yes,
very nice.
Yes.
Okay. So the second question for you is that how can we basically try and make our child smart and intelligent? Because this is a basic question that every mom has. How to make my child smart and intelligent, and what ways do you use to boost your kids' brain power?
Right. So as we the major roles that play in a child's intellectual development or brain power, of course it is genetics, it is about its parents' role, it's the teacher's role, and it's also the company that the child is in, like friends and the family.
Great.
So we as parents, especially after having a long lockdown year and the child being home, we of course had to step in and shape our child's childhood in such a way that we had to increase. The teachers were absent, the school was missing, so this had to happen, and there are lots of things that we can do. For example, like you asked me that you were just saying that a lot of people want to know how to increase the child's brain power. So like as you know, the child's brain is developing the fastest in the whole in the first 5 years. From 0 to 5 years, it is developing the fastest. So this is the time we need to tap the potential of the brain, because the child wants to learn. Now it's up to us how much we want to make use of the child. Contrary to the old school thought that the abilities will increase as the child grows up. So what right brain training does is that we we feel that children at a younger age are highly able to do more things. For example, learning new languages, increasing their memory ability. And if we do it for children under 5 years, it's going to benefit them for life.
Yes.
Like later, it's going to be much easier.
Yes.
So lots of things I do with my child. In fact, I have been doing it ever since she was 1.5. So we play memory games with each other. I have taught her about 5 or 6 new languages, and she's not getting confused. So it's much easier for little ones to learn new languages, to learn piano for that matter. I learned piano when I was in my late 20s. And she started when she was 3 years old.
Wow.
And I cannot tell you, like, she has learned it faster than what I learned.
Yes.
She's still learning, of course, but it's easier for her to pick up the notes. It's easier for her to pick up the songs, because, you know, this is the time that brain is hungry. Their brain wants more information. They're exploring the world.
Absolutely.
So, of course, if we teach them something, they will learn it even quicker than someone who in her 20s or 30s will do.
So, wow, that was a wonderful answer. Wow.
Yeah,
wow,
lots
wow,
of activities we can do. Yes, we can talk
Great.
about that.
Great. Okay. So the third question for you is, what is EQ and how can children improve on it?
All right. EQ is emotional quotient. So as we all know about IQ, intelligence quotient.
Yes.
It it's a score depicting how smart you are, right? So at our time, EQ, all the companies would look at our IQ scores and judge how smart we are. What most big companies are doing now, they want to check your EQ, emotional quotient score. EQ is basically how you deal with your emotions. You know, you could be the smartest person, but if you cannot deal with stress, if you cannot deal with anxiety at your own level, then you cannot be you do not have the leadership qualities. So it's very, very important to build on emotional quotient. And how can we do it at an early age for a child? That's because the child is right-brained up until 3 years.
Okay.
And emotions are governed by the right brain. So if we do right brain training, if we expose the child to multiple emotions, and I'll tell you how we can make the child more emotionally better. So this is the tender age when we can make the child emotionally stronger. And that's how they can have a better EQ when they grow up. Now, talking about EQ, I wanted to tell you that of course, the child goes through a lot of things. You know, he's frustrated and they're pre-verbal. They do not know how to express their emotions.
Absolutely.
So we as parents, as caregivers, we have to step in and we have to, of course, be calm. Suppose it's a temper tantrum or some anger that they're showing that mama took my chocolate away. So we have to first calm them. We have to label their emotions. Okay, this is being angry. Okay, because they're very new to a new emotion. There's hundreds of things going on. They don't know what it is. They don't know how to label it. Give that emotion a label. Like, this is frustration. I know that you are angry that that I took your chocolate away. And second, once they are calm, for example, it will take a few minutes or an hour. Let them just calm down and then talk about it, how we can deal with the emotions, validate their feelings. It's very right. I'm sure, tell them that I know you must be angry. I took your chocolate away and I'm, I did that. Why? Because so and so, your teeth would have gotten spoiled.
Absolutely. Yes.
So, talking to the children, telling them, and eventually they'll get into this is also a part of disciplining the child and emotional regulation by the parent at an early age. It will lead to a sorted, you understand what I'm saying? The child will know how to deal with emotions later in life, which is really important. We see so many celebrities and doing very well, but they're into stress, depression. Probably they do not know how to deal with their own emotions, and this can be done at a very early age.
Yes.
And it can, of course, benefit them for life.
So I think that was a wonderful suggestion from you. I don't know about others, but I will definitely try and implement this in my lifestyle. Thank you so much for sharing. Okay.
Yes. I have been doing it, and I have realized that more or less my child has become emotionally. She's become stronger, more stable, and she can now. She knows okay, this is being angry, how will I deal with my anger?
Yes,
Now she
yes.
has her thing. So of course, I mean, it's going to be a very good start for the child if you make them
Yes,
emotionally
absolutely.
independent.
It's a wonderful suggestion for all the moms out there. Whoever will be watching this session or this video or interview, whatever, but it is a wonderful suggestion to them. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you. Okay, so the next question for you is that Deepika, these days, there is a lot of stress on learning of foreign languages. I mean, one expects a child to be very fluent with different types of languages. So, why do you think that foreign languages are important?
Okay, so foreign languages, of course, increase the give a radiant personality to the individual. If the person can speak, if any individual can speak in more than 2 languages, it of course reduces the rate of cognitive decline. It is said that multilingual people are not only smarter, but of course their cognition decline, of course, that happens with age. It's much slower if you're multilingual. So again, foreign languages can be started at a very early age, because as you know, when the child is born, he does not know any language, and then the mother tongue, the first language that he learns, and then they come the language that everyone's speaking in the house. And at the same time, if you also inculcate a foreign language, the child is going to pick it up as easy as he picks up his mother tongue. So foreign languages, of course, like I told you, makes the person smarter. Multilingual people are better at problem solving skills, lower rate of cognitive decline, better radiant personalities. So given all these benefits, and of course foreign languages are important because now the world is so small, right? So if today you know a foreign language, you can be working in any other country or with MNCs or so many things. So there are of course many benefits of learning foreign languages. And so my suggestion out there to all the new moms is, do not wait for your child to grow 7 years or 10 years and then start a new language. At your end, at the basic level, you can start a new language very early also. And why should we start early? I know, people will think that why do you want to pressurize your child so early? It's not about pressurizing. It's just that if we give a little bit of stimulation in the early years, it's going to be much easier for the child to pick up that language later in life.
Later, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, little bit of stimulation. You can, just start the basics of, you can just teach them numbers or colors in a particular language, whatever you want your child to learn. And so this is like my personal observation with my child when she was about 4 years, 3.5 or 4 years. So I live in Chandigarh. My great-grandmother, her great-grandmother speaks in Punjabi. My in-laws, they speak in Hindi, I speak in English, and my husband knows Chinese. So we had been talking in different languages with her, and of course she picked on English first because that was our main language that we were using. But I realized when they grow up, they are so smart. Like if I tell her to pass on a message to Dadi, she will take my message in English and convert it into Punjabi and then give her the message.
Wow.
And yeah, so we might think that this is too much for the child. They are getting confused, but they are not getting confused. They are very smart. They will, if someone tells her a message in Hindi that go tell this to mama, she'll automatically translate it for me and then she will tell it to me in English, and vice versa. So they are really smart and they will not get confused. Because she knows that Dadi will always talk in Punjabi, she will not understand English, so I will of course talk to her in Punjabi. So she has learned languages from the home, and of course I have also taught her a few foreign languages.
Great. Okay. So the next question for you is that how do you think that music helps in child development, basically?
Music, of course, it makes the child very calm, peaceful. The child goes through a lot of emotions, as we just discussed. So a little bit of music, and it just soothes the child, soothes the nerves, and also exposure to music at an early age, it's going to also we just discussed that my child, how she was picking on piano at a very early age, and I in fact I forgot the notes of a particular song, but I had taught her just once and she remembered. So if we start music at an early age, music again is a part of the right brain. As I told you, the child is right brain dominant. Mainly right brain dominant up to 3 years of age. Right brain dominant only up to 5 years of age. Left brain also starts to pick up after 3 years, and the child gets left brain dominant 7 years onwards. Left brain dominant, and left brain does the logic and the English and the maths. When the child learns all of that, then the child is more of left brain. Before that, the child is right brain. So music, art, imagination, creativity, all of these things can be enhanced if you do under 7 years of age, because the child is going to be right brain dominant. So music, as we all know, is great for emotional balance, and it's not easy to play an instrument, but of course if you are stimulating the child at an early age, it's going to be great for them to pick it up anytime later in life.
May I ask you one question on this? Like, children these days are very fond of those peppy numbers. So do you think that would also help, or some kind of music you would like to suggest?
No, of course that will help. That does give mood upliftment to children, and that is great. And as long as it works as a music memory for them. Like for example, a particular song will remind them of happy times. So peppy numbers are great. They will dance to it and make them feel better. So
because my daughter, is really fond of those Punjabi numbers. So she dances to the tune so well. So that's why I was asking that children are really fond of these kind of songs. So what's your take on that? So thank you for answering this also. Okay, so the next question for you is, how important is reading basically to young children? Because these days books are being made available even for babies, for kids of different ages. So what according to you are the benefits of reading for young children especially?
I keep telling all my friends and family and my students' parents that reading is really, really important. We can start it even at 6 months. When the child, even you can start as early as a child is born also. Not reading probably, just like the mother talking, or even reading a magazine, because the child is picking up your language.
They're looking at the pictures and they're just doing nothing,
they're looking at the pictures, so that is exposure. They're learning your language. That is a very good they're learning how words are formed. They're learning the tone of your language. So we can start as early as a few months, when the child is a few months. So reading is of course very important. Reading not only benefits the child's language abilities, makes the child smarter, and gives a good vocabulary, good grammar. All of that set aside, reading boosts brain power above anything. Reading, once the child gets, when we start something as a routine to a 2-year-old or 1-year-old, it sets in their mind, like you have to suppose read before bed, you have to read at least one storybook before sleeping, and it makes it a routine for them. Like I have been brought up like that, and I still love reading before sleeping. Like I must read for at least half an hour. So, and of course, looking for new opportunities, you can read so many things, increase your knowledge bank. So if you're setting a reading routine for your child, I think there's nothing better that you can give to your child. Like, reading is very, very important for a child. Brain power, vocabulary, language. You say reading has to be connected with it. The child gets interested in reading, and if of course you have to just give that start. You have to give the push in initial years. Then the child, you will not have to hold back. Now, at this age, like my daughter is 4, I told you, so I don't have to tell her that you have to read. It's in her, like it's reading time. I'm going to do this today. We're going to read about this fairy or whatever. So she's gotten interested in reading. I think everyone should do that. At least, like, you must start at 1 year, and of course then the child will definitely be inculcated.
Okay, great,
Good
great.
habit.
So the next question for you is that, flashcards are really into fashion these days, but what do you think? How do they basically help? What are the benefits?
Okay, so flashcards for under 3-year-olds who are predominantly right-brained. So right-brain, basically it functions, it moves. It is more productive. You can say the right brain is getting more used with speed. So high-speed flashcards are very, very good for younger children under 3 years of age. Above that, it's a great way of exposing the child to more knowledge. For example, you could do flashcards of things that are made of plastic, things, flags, flashcards, prime ministers of India, any flashcards. Do not repeat it for a week, but it's a great way because the child is learning at such a high speed. So we might feel that this is going too fast, but the child is actually grasping that information. Even if the child cannot speak, even if the child, because they can of course see the pictures must be nice and vibrant and large. If they are registering, right brain registers the images, like the information as images. So flashcards of course do not have text, they have images. So they are going to take that as an image and it's going to keep registering in their mind, because that is the function of the right brain.
Yes.
That is why people are using flashcards for children, for young children, instead of books, because flashcards of course have a bigger picture. Flashcards are fast to switch.
Yes.
And so that's why, speed, I told you, and pictures are two things that are that is to do with the right brain, and children under 3 years are right brain dominant. That's why flashcards are really much, nowadays everyone wants to use flashcards of different topics. It's a good way to encourage children to learn more things rather than showing them in the books. That is also good, but flashcards of course gives them a bigger picture, and they're processing information as a pictorial information. They're registering pictures in their brain. They might not be able to speak at an early age, but be rest assured that information is going in their brain as long as they're attentive. If they're attentive, they're looking at you, that information is getting registered there. They will of course pick it up later. Keep doing them they will remember it, then they will speak it up later, but they are definitely registering the information as pictures.
Okay, great. So next question would be that do you think that brain development affects a child's behavior also?
Yes, of course. Like we talked about emotional quotient, how that affects the child's behavior, and how brain development of course has to do with intelligence quotient, it has to do with emotional quotient. So if we deal with the emotions, if we teach them how to be emotionally independent and not how to deal with their emotions, validate their feelings and label their emotions, and then tell them, okay, this is what is to be done. If you feel angry, you can talk to me, or you can maybe just sing a song, or just go out on a walk, go cycling or something like that. Of course it will help them in the long run. It will affect the child's behavior. This is emotional quotient, emotional development of a child. Of course it helps in the child's behavior sooner or later, and this is not only the child's behavior, as the child grows up also into an adult. So definitely brain development does work on a child's behavior.
Okay, great. Okay, so the next question is that what are the best foods according to you for a child's brain, especially for a child's brain?
Okay, so of course I think anything to do with omega-3 fatty acids like walnuts, and people who have non-vegetarian, I don't have much idea, but they say fish is also very, very good for the brain. But also foods with lots of vitamins, like vitamin C is also very, very good for the brain, to keep the brain young. So that is great. Then foods like broccoli is very good for the brain. But rather than that, I would rather I think all parents know a good balanced diet is great for the brain. you need to have everything, a little bit of all nutrients in your diet, and I think parents are very much aware of how to give balanced diet to children. What I really want to tell them, that what is not good for the brain is high sugar diets. Junk food is a no for a healthy brain. So please keep it away from children. High sugary foods, of course, make the child more lethargic and sleepy, and so no. So let's just stick with a little.
Is it okay to give just 1-2 teaspoons of sugar per day to the child? White
I
sugar?
think maybe one teaspoon is okay, but like I know of people, as long as you can avoid, it's best only. Sugar has not done any good to anyone. There are other things like there's coconut sugar, there's jaggery that can do a little better job than sugar. But I know it's very, very difficult to keep children away, especially
Because
once they
in
get
Punjabi families, especially in all the families, I must say that we prepare usually different kinds of halwa, and gajrela is also there in the winter season. So it becomes really difficult to hide those things from children because they are really fond of those
course.
things.
Especially if everybody is having it, of course you cannot.
You cannot hide them.
Yes.
Okay, chalo, great. Okay, so the last question from our side would be that what, according to you, your daughter is, I think, 4 years old, right? Am I right on this? Okay, so what,
Right.
according to you, are the best brain games for kids of your daughter's age?
Okay. So memory games work very well for this age group because they're very, very good at memorizing things. Memory games can be of various types. So we can do photographic memory games. So what I also do with my students at PrepRite is I play photographic memory games. Like I will show them an image, for example, which will have various shapes. It will be different colored. And then they will have to, I'll hide it, and then I'll just show them the blank picture, and then they will have to tell me or mark it on their sheet which color was where. This is one type of memory game. And then there's another memory game in which you have to link pairs. Like you will see, for example, this animal was here, and then you keep the cap back on, and then you have to find the other animal where was it, and then you have to remember. And whenever you make a pair of that particular animal, then you take those two caps on your side. These kind of memory games work very well. Then there are tangrams that can be done. Tangrams are like these wooden blocks with different shapes. Seven blocks, and then lots of pictures. Forms can be made from the tangrams. So I'll show her, like for example, you have to make a duck with tangrams. I'll show her the picture, and now they have to arrange those shapes. There'll be a parallelogram, there'll be triangle. So they have to arrange in that way to make a duck. So I've been doing that also. These kind of things are there. Then Lego is also very, very good. It's a good brain development game because it again, like things like blocks, Lego, magnetiles, they encourage creativity in the child, and of course problem solving skills. If you ask them, okay, you have to make the tallest building or you have to make a bridge, so how will they make a bridge? But of course the difficulty level increases or decreases with age. So it's that is a very good game. Puzzles are great. That is, I'm talking about 3 or plus. Puzzles are great when they have to match jigsaw puzzles and see what image comes before and after a particular thing. I think games, anything that does not have batteries, probably that has more to do with the child, that is better for the child rather than a self-operated toy.
Yes.
A self-operated toy, of course, they will like it and all, but it will not do much of a developmental growth on them. You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely
but
right.
If it's like blocks, if it's like even if you give them pots and pans to create music on their own, this is a great brain development game.
Exactly.
Then making them do like simple experiments, mix 2 colors and see what happens, what you're going to get. Again, something very, very simple. Everyone can do it at home, but great for brain development. So we as parents, we have to foster curiosity in our children, right? So I from my personal experience, I suggest that we must do less of the battery operated games and give them tools and give them the opportunities to discover new things out of whatever is there, and make their own games. So that I feel is
stimulate their creativity, right? This is
stimulating creativity, stimulating imagination. Like for example, you have to make something with the blocks, and fostering curiosity. Like the child, every child will ask, but why is this happening? Why is that happening? So rather than saying we don't know, we don't want to answer, just encourage them, because that will definitely like make them ask more, learn more, and then they'll be like no bars. They just want to keep learning and growing.
Okay, great. So I think, Deepika, that's all from our side, and you have addressed all our questions so well, and it was such a vast resource of information, I must say, that every mom, I would suggest every mom who would be listening to this session to please implement all the suggestions given by you. They were simply great, and it was a wonderful session from your side.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Such kind words.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
My pleasure. I'd love to help people, and if any way I can benefit anyone, be more than happy to.
Thank you. Okay,
all
so
right.
shall we sign off now?
Yes.
Okay, great. Bye-bye, dear. Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you.